What's up, y'all? I am stoked to get some digital learning going your way, some virtual stuff. We're going to kind of try and take it like we've been doing everything else, y'all, like taking some notes, which you can just watch here. You don't even have to write this down if you don't want to, so you can see what I'm doing. And really, the beginning of today is just to plug it in. Or another word I'm going to use a lot is to substitute. Okay, so look at what it's saying here. It's saying when x equals these numbers, evaluate the function. And all that means is go plug it in right there for x or right there for x. Okay, so don't let this thing out here mess with you. This is called function notation. It says it at the top. Function notation, this fx thing really just means y. They are interchangeable actually, right? So y equals f of x. This is pronounced f of x. Okay. Now, all that means is don't worry about what this says. And on your homework today, it's going to look like this: f of -4 equals, and all that means is go plug -4 in. 7 minus 2 times -4. Plug that into your calculator on your phone even, and it will be 15. Okay, all you gotta do is plug it in. Because a negative times a negative would be positive, 8 plus 7. But I don't need you to even think that far. I just know to plug it in. So when I plug in 0, I just go 7 minus 2 times 0. It's almost like writing lines. I used to have to do that a little bit when I was naughty as a kid. 7 minus 2 times 2 equals, sorry about this here, it's just the copy machine, which equals 3. Okay? Now, what I want you to get in the habit of is to write these right as ordered pairs. It's going to say this on the homework. So when I plugged in -4, I got 15. That gives me the point -4, 15. When I plugged in 0, and I plugged in 2 here, I got 7, so that gave me the point 0, 7. And when I plug in 2, I get 3, 2, 3. And there are my points. Okay. I'm going to show you another one here. Again, this is going to be plugging in -4, plugging in 0, and plugging in 2. And I'm just going to draw arrows. Like, I don't need you to think of it as f of 4, f of 0, f of 2. And just plug it in. -2 minus 2 times -4 plus 7. -2 minus 2 times 0 plus 7. And -2 minus 2 times 2 plus 7. And just plugging each of those in, right? So this is, let's see, -2 plus 8 is, am I doing this right? Yeah. This is a positive 8. Minus 2 is 6. Plus 7 is 13. Okay. Here I'm going to get -2 plus 7, which is just 5. And here I'm going to get -2 minus 4 is -6 plus 7 is 1. And again, I'm kind of doing those just because I don't have my calculator next to me. You could plug it right into your calculator on your phone and it'll spit out those numbers. So again, what does this give me? It gives me -4, 13. It gives me 0, 5. And it gives me 2, 1. And again, from the numbers I plugged in as my x values, and the numbers that I get out, because f of x means y, are just my y values, right? What I plug in is x. What I get out is y. That's how functions work. You plug something in, you get something out of it. Okay, it's input and output is actually what those are called. So maybe pause it a second and try these two, just on a scrap piece of paper or something, some note paper or something. Just try it again. You're plugging -4, 0, and 3 in here for x, and then try and do the same thing here. Okay, pause it, press on pause, come back and check how you did. Okay, so -4, 0, and 3 it looks like I'm plugging in, and I'm going to do kind of everything at once. 2 times -4 minus 5 is -13. 2 times 0 minus 5. I'm doing this right by a window right now, so it's getting a little lighter and darker depending on the angle of the sun here. It's a good time of day for me, though the sun's right in on me. 2 times 3 minus 5 is 1. Okay, here I'm going to plug in -4 minus 1, -0 minus 1, and -3 minus 1. And I'm going to get 3, I'm going to get -1, and I'm going to get -4. So again, to write these as points, I get -4, -13. I get 0, -5, and I get 3, 1. Okay, here I get -4, 3. I get 0, -1, and I get 3, -4 from those points. Okay. All right. So down at the bottom of the page, all it's saying here is to just plug in, instead of for x, we're going to plug it in for y, because this means y equals -7. So really, what we're doing is we're plugging it in right here instead of for x. So I've got -7 equals 2/3 x minus 5. Okay. I want to get rid of this. Anytime you see a fraction that's just gross, just whatever this is, times everything by it and it goes away. So 3 times -7 is -21. 3 times this makes those go away. It's just 2x. And 3 times this is 15. And then hopefully you remember how to do this. You just add 15 to both sides. Those cancel. -6 equals 2x. And I divide to get -3 equals x. Right, if you remember that. So I'm going to do these a little bit faster. These you could try on your own if you want to press pause and just see how it goes. But this next one you're going to kind of see is a little easier. Go ahead and press pause if you want and try those. Otherwise, keep following along. Again, this is y right here, so we're going to plug it in right there. 21 equals 6x plus 9. This is a little easier because all I got to do is get rid of the number first, right? To get 12 equals 6x, and then divide to get x equals 2. Okay. Next one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug -1 in here. Again, to get rid of fractions, I can just times everything by whatever this bottom is. It was 3 up here, now it's 2. Right, times that I get -2. Times this again, those 2's cancel, I get -1x. Just like I got a 2x here, I get a -1x here. And then times that there, I get 6. -6 to both sides like we did in the previous problem. And then divide by the number next to x. X equals 8. Okay. Alright, so that will help you on the 3.3a homework. I'm going to go over a little bit of this, but it was just number 4 through 12. Okay. Make sure I got this right. Yep. 4 through 12 even. Okay. So you only have to do 4 through 12 even, and I'm going to even break down 4 and 7 and 10, even though 7 is not an even. We'll get to that later. Next page, okay, is really what the second part of the homework is, which is just graphing points. I don't need you to have a big grid like this. You could just put a y-axis and an x-axis and do what you need to do here, okay? Like come up with points, x and y, okay? So on the homework, I am actually going to give you the values to plug in, and it's going to look a little different than this, so I'm going to try and do it more similar to what the work in the homework looks like, and it's going to have x and s of x or f of x or t of x or whatever it is, and I'm going to give you the values -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And sometimes I'll change these up to other numbers. It just depends on what the graph is. I'm kind of giving it to you. So when I go to plug these things in, again, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take -2 and plug it in right there. That's just like what we were doing on the previous page. Plus 5. Plug that in. I get 1. That's the result. I go back and plug -1 in. Right? It's just like we were doing on the other page, just plugging it in for x. I get 3. I plug in 0. Well, 0 plus anything, that just gives me that number. I can see the pattern here. It's +2. It's +2. I bet that's a 7. I bet that's a 9. And if I plug it in, I can see that 2 times 1 is 2 plus 5 is 7. 2 times 2 plus 5 is 9. It works. And I want to go graph this. And what it should give me is a linear function. Linear means line, right? So -2, 1 is right here. -1, 3 right here. 0, 5, 1, 7, and 2, 9. Again, if you don't have the grid like this, if you can't print this off, that is no big deal. Just literally draw yourself a picture like this. Plot your points by making just a couple of tick marks out, right? And -2, 1 would be, right there, lining up those two notches, right? -1, 3, right about there, right? My line's going to obviously have to keep going here to get 0, 5, 1, 7, and 2, 9. And I see my straight line just like I would see it on this. I'm not even going to do the next one on the grid. I'm going to show you that you can do it without. Okay. All right, so there's that one. Let's try the next one. Okay. Remember that there is a little negative sign right there. So when I go to graph this, first of all, I'm going to give you the same numbers. Again, on the homework, those numbers might change, but you're just plugging in those numbers. Okay, so I'm going to plug in -2 here, and it's -2 plus 4, which negative is a positive, plus 4 gives me 6. -1 plus 4, -0 plus 4, -1 plus 4, and -2 plus 4. I'm going to plug all those into the calculator. That's how I'm getting this. And the next one will be 5. And you can kind of see how this is going down by 1. That's because that's a -1. Just like when this was going up by 2, it's because that's a positive 2 right there. So I get 3, I get 1, or 2, excuse me. Sorry. They're going up by 1. I shouldn't change that. And again, when I go to graph this, give yourself a graph. You can probably be pretty reasonable about how this works. I could see it's going up to 6. Yeah, I've got -2, 6 right here, -1, 5 right here, 0, 4, 1, 3, and 2, 2. And there it creates a line. I shouldn't get anything besides a line. If I get something that looks like this, yeah, you did something wrong. That's not a line. That's I don't know. That's actually called an absolute value graph, but that's not something you're going to see this year. Or this, you know, that's a Pac-Man, right? If I do this, put a little thing. Y'all know what Pac-Man is, even if it's that old. Anyways, please just graph that, whether it's here or there, okay? And that's all you're doing on this one, and this one is 3.3b, number, let's see, what am I doing for this one? Just 4 through 7. Okay, so I already made that copy, and I'm going to post that on Google Classroom for you as well, okay? So all you're doing is watching this video, and then getting to a little work that's besides it. And really, it doesn't take you rewriting everything. You just write down 4, write down this part, f of x equals 2x minus 1. And this stuff is just, I don't like the way they do it at all, so I'm trying to show you what they're doing. They're showing you, again, I don't want you to get confused by this. If they plug in -2, right there for x, right here, right? They get 2 times -2 minus 1, that's how they get -5, and they put it here, right? 2 times 0 minus 1 gave me -1, so that's why I put that right here. I gave you the number 1, right? So 2 times 1 minus 1 is how they got that 1. And then 2 times 3 minus 1, I would plug into my calculator and I would get 5, and that's why I put that right there. And you can see they started it again. Again, don't let this confuse you. It's just plugging in -2, then plugging in 0, and then plugging in 1, then plugging in 3, right? And then 1, and then 3, and so on, okay? And that's really all it's trying to have you do, is just plug those numbers in and tell me what you get. Write it here. Okay? Write it here. Just plug those numbers in. Okay? That's all it literally is, guys. -2 times -2 gave me that 4. 3 minus, well, the first one, -2. Again, don't let this confuse you. I get 5. That's why I put that there, and so on. So it's just plugging in. And that's really all this is, too. All this is just plugging it in. Right? 3 times x plus 1. Here's where I'm plugging it in, because that's where my x values are. So when I plug in, again, this stuff is confusing. When I plug in -1, I got -2. When I plugged in 2, I got 7. When I plug in 4, I get 13. And so that gives me the point 4, 13. And this is the answers I want here. So write the result as an ordered pair like I did in the notes. Okay? So again, this just means plug in -1, plug in 2, and plug in 4, and then tell me what those are, and then you'll be able to write those points, which will be -1 comma whatever you get here, and 2 comma whatever you get here, and 4 comma whatever you get here. Okay, and then maybe you try this one on your own. Just remember that this is -1 minus 3, and so on. Okay, you get that, and then down at the bottom, this is the last thing I was talking about, where this again means y, and you're just going to plug it in there. So the first one is set up like this, right? And then you are going to, again, get rid of the 2 because you're solving for x here. And then, of course, divide by the number next to the variable to get x equals 6. This is not asking you to put it in the result in an ordered pair, so you're just finding the value of x, okay? So that's that side. Again, you were only doing the evens on this page. So I already did 4. You're going to do 6, 8, and I kind of started number 8 for you. 10, which actually I already did, and 12. So really, you just got to do 1, 2, 3 problems. Really, that's it. Okay, 3 problems on this page. Okay, on the next page, and that will give me an idea when I see your work of how you understand how to do it or not. Okay. On the back side, I want you to do each of these graphs. So again, you can just draw one of these. This is just plugging in. You can see my work here, plugging in -4 first. I went -4 plus 1. That's how I got 5. Then I plugged in -2, -2 plus 1 is how I got 3. Then I realized it's just going down by 2. So I could, for this one, I could plug in -2 plus 1 and I get -1. And then for the last one, I plug in -4 plus 1 and I get -3. And then I'm going to go graph those points. And again, you don't probably have access to printing this. Most of us don't. I don't either. So you can just do it on a graph like so and plot -4, 5, -2, 3. Oh, I didn't go up high enough for that one, did I? Should have been right there, not right there. Because -2, 3 is right here. And 0, 1 is right here. And 2, -1. And 4, -3. And sure enough, it creates a line. Now, if you have graph paper, you can already see I did the first 3. 2, -1 would be right here. And 4, -3 would be right here. And of course, that forms a line. Okay? So really, you only have to do 3 problems on this page too. So 3 problems here shows me, once I see what you got there, I'm going to see what you're doing, right? And right here as well. Okay? So that's that. The next video we'll be talking about the practice quiz for this section, which is really just going to be doing plug in X and Y and try a graph. Okay? Next video on that. Check this out. Try this homework assignment, please, the 3-3A and 3-3B, just those 6 problems. And if you send me that homework, I will count it towards any homework you did not do before the shutdown. And then the quiz itself will be counting as a quiz grade, so we'll get to that later. Have a good one.